All right, and we're live from Hollywood, California. And welcome to one of the greatest painting shows in the universe. Yes, that's right. I said in the entire universe. And I wouldn't necessarily be wrong there, even subjectively, objectively speaking. How many art shows are there on the entire planet? Not that many. And as far as we know, not trying to get into any conspiracy theories or alien theories here, but there's probably aliens. I believe in aliens. But anyway, let's see. Let me get my phone here. I gotta stop saying on these live streams. It's just I got in such a habit of it. It just feels good to say it. Just as like a pause, a breather. Where's my phone? Here it is. Here's my phone. You get my phone up and ready. I need my phone because I need to add content to our stream here. Let's go. I'm gonna start this today with a little unboxing. I got a new package from Amazon, but also technically it's from Amazon, but also technically a company that's selling on Amazon, aka Jerry's Art-A-Rama. And if you've been painting for long enough, you probably know that Jerry's Art-A-Rama has been a long-time supplier of art supplies, and that Amazon is a marketplace essentially for artists, as opposed to just selling one brand of anything. Amazon is an entire marketplace where all sorts of wonderful people partner together, businesses and people partner together to bring you the products that you need on demand. And because of that, I did want to share that before I showed this, because if you're watching from Amazon, you might expect me to be talking about stuff from Amazon, but it actually is from Amazon. It's through Amazon, but I guess they partnered with a company, or a company partnered with them. I mean, who does Amazon, people partner with Amazon, not really the other way around. I worked on a Margot Robbie movie, and then it was with Colin Farrell. I forget the name of it, but I just played like someone in a cafe one time. And someone's like, "Oh, so she worked on your movie?" And I was like, "No, I worked on her movie." Margot Robbie worked on her movie. I checked my own ego there. But anyway, let's get started. Actually, we got a bunch of stuff to brag about that I got. I got a bunch of stuff. I got more of my favorite brushes here. Princeton Catalyst. These are Princeton Catalyst, the polytip brushes. I got 2 different sizes. Although the length of these, I don't know if it's accurate. I don't know if they sent me the right lengths. One is a 10 round. Let me see if they sent me the right length. I can't remember if... Let me just double check Amazon here before I start getting into using it, because when you get different lengths, it does matter, because sometimes it affects how you use the brush. Okay, no, it's the correct length. All right, I got the correct length. So a couple things before I even get started painting. Opening up my supplies, did some house cleaning today, separated some materials and things, but now trying to get resituated. Open my supplies so that they're ready. And let's go pop open my references. Here we go. Is this crooked? Does it look crooked? Let me see. Let me bring this up. I could probably raise it a little bit more since I'm standing. Here we go. Hello. Nice to meet you. What's your name? Okay. Let's see. I'll raise this up a little bit. Try to get a better angle of this. It's a little better, right? You were getting a different angle, so now we're a little bit at a better angle now. So, okay, so enough chitter chatter. Let's go ahead and open our special new purchase from Amazon. This is I guess a company named Jerry's Artorama that teamed up with Amazon to distribute these products. So let's go ahead and open this. Toss this to the side here. I actually know what this is, but it's a surprise to everybody else, so that's what matters, right? It's a surprise. As long as it's a surprise to you. Let's see. Oh my goodness, I should have made an entire video just opening this box, because it is not just one pack of paints, it's 24 tubes of paint. It's another one of their collections. So they have a collection of oil paints. Let me just put this on the floor here. So this is a curated collection of oil paints from Amazon, but curated by Jerry's Artorama. So let's see, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6, 7, 8, 9 packs here. So I need about 24. I'm supposed to have about 24 packs of paint here. And I don't know why. It says acrylic here, so I don't. We'll see. I wonder if it's just the box or what. But all right. So okay. So they did not send me. It has the label of Liquitex, but it's not. These are actually all supposed to be Gamblin oil paints. So let's see what colors we got. This is exciting. I'll have to go through these separately on my own. But okay, we got our Cad Lemon, our Gamblin Ivory Black, Phthalo Blue Series 2, Series 3. We got a good Series 3 Gamblin. And these all look like fresh packs, not just, sometimes I think companies try to get away with, when you buy brand new packs, they send you imperfect packs, like, the packs that are already kind of destroyed or something's up with them. But so far, so good. Because there is, by the way, if you want to know a life hack, if you look up, here's one tube. So this was one pack for one tube. We got a burnt sienna. I'm not actually keeping track of all these. We got a burnt sienna from Gamblin here. Nice little burnt sienna. Is like a burnt raw brown. Burnt sienna is a form of brown. All right, so it makes me wonder how they package these, but so that's 4. I'm expecting 24. They owe me 24 paints, so we'll see. I don't know how they label these. There's 3, and it's curated, but they're supposed to send you a good variety. So we got a light gray, we got a sap green, and a cadmium orange. And this is great. Like if you buy, like the thing about this pack is Gamblin, amazing colors. Gamblin makes some amazing paints, amazing colors, and so far so good. And you can tell by the level of paint, by where it says series, the higher the number on the series, 1, 2, 3, or 4, the higher the number of the series, that determines the, I don't know if it's like the quality of pigment or whatever, but usually higher series are a little bit more expensive. All right, so we got Cad Red Light, so we got 1. Got these 2 packs have 1. Those other packs have 3. 3, 6. get another one. We got another pack of 3 here. Let's see. And this is great if this is one of the more expensive gifts that you could probably get an artist, an oil painter, because not only is Gamblin a highly trusted brand, but they're also very high value pigments. Cad Yellow Medium, Cad Naples Yellow, and Cad Yellow Deep. Okay, great. So, this is a curated set of paints. Now, sometimes, when if you're buying like a set of paint and you want a nice little gift, sometimes when you buy a nice paint set for somebody and you want a nice gift, the packaging matters. The packaging, I believe Zen Art is probably, I don't know their exact history, they don't say, but they might be a newer brand compared to others. And they have some beautiful, beautiful packaging, and they give you a set of like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, a set of 8 curated colors of different palettes. So for example, this is probably something like a Zorn palette-ish. I don't know the exact colors in a Zorn palette. The Zorn palette is known to be like a more classical palette. And then they have other palette colors, like more modern ones. Let's see, I actually have some examples right here. This is for Zen Art Supplies. So as you can see, if you're looking to get a gift or just getting something for yourself, this is a great one. The packaging is beautiful, and as far as I've experienced, the paint quality is very good. But I can't really tell the difference between, a paint that's like $5 an ounce versus $4 an ounce. But I can tell the difference between a paint that's $1 an ounce versus $5 an ounce. I don't know if that's actually the exact price, but you get the idea, right? Like wine, I guess, if you're under the age of 21, please exit the live stream because I'm about to share an analogy to wine as far as paint goes. It's pretty easy to tell the difference between a $5 bottle of wine and a $50 to $100 bottle of wine, but it's not always easy to tell the difference between a $75 to $200 bottle of wine from each other, unless you're really, really sophisticated. So that's how I compare, various paints. But anyway, so here, when I was talking about palettes, they got a Central palette, very colorful one. They got the Impressionist palette and the Portrait palette. So the Portrait palette actually isn't named Zorn, but it's just named Portrait. And then a box of whites. So, as you can see, you can pick different types of colors. And with what I purchased, though, that we're talking about right now, what we're going through right now, these Gamblin colors, it's great because it's curated. And they cover the entire range of colors. As you have seen, they've covered the Cad Reds, Cad Yellows, all the different blues and greens. So I'm just going through them now just to see, make sure all the tubes are here. All right, we got quinacridone rose, quinacridone magenta, that'll be a different color. And all perfect tubes, as I can tell so far. None of these are messed up and everywhere. Ooh, Cad Red Deep Series 5. Like I'm opening up a box of cards. So this is Series 5. I don't usually buy, I don't usually get higher series paints, but Series 5, that's a little luxury there. Series 2 of a dioxazine purple. That's pretty good. High quality pigments from Gamblin, of course. So far so good. I got 3 more little boxes to open out of, these are the ones we've opened so far from Gamblin. Again, this comes from a curated collection that I purchased on Amazon, but it's curated by Jerry's Artorama. So the company on that actually curates the collection and puts the entire set together is Jerry's Artorama. So if you're looking for a more expensive gift of high quality, amazing, beautiful, wonderful oil paints, and you want like an entire collection, and they do lots and lots of paintings, and you just want to cover the entire range of colors they could possibly have, this would be a great choice. We've got yellow ochre, 2 colors. We get 2 choices of these yellows, and you get to really experiment with the different yellows. So some colors, depending on how new your painter friend is or how new you are to painting, Stop saying that, dude. Stop saying I'm getting mad at myself for saying before the start of every sentence. I went through what's that called? I went through Toastmasters for a reason. But anyway, here we go. So this is a transparent earth yellow, and this is a semi-transparent yellow ochre. And you can't really tell the difference. It's really interesting when you start to pick up painting, because you start to tell the difference between all these different colors. And if you're just starting out, you might not think of the differences between the browns and the yellows and red and like different types of like black or zinc white or titanium white. But there are differences, and when you really, when you get the opportunity, the best opportunity is to really just buy as many as you can and really experiment with them and see what those colors are. But a lot of these colors are pretty much like standard colors, just like the most standard colors. But some of them were quite surprises, like the quinacridone magenta and the pyroxazine. I've literally never bought any color with this name on it. So we got the quinacridone magenta. That'll be fun. I wonder if it's going to be this pink. And we got our, let's see, dioxazine. I've never gotten anything that was dioxazine. Just don't eat anything named dioxazine, please. Don't mix it with any paint, or don't mix it with any drinks. And let's see what these last colors are. So I am surprised that all of these tubes managed to be pretty much perfect. Oh, they threw in, oh, okay. I thought that this was going to be a mixing solution, but it's actually cerulean blue hue, so that's going to be fun. I love my blues. I love having a wide range of blues. I need to get a wide range of blues. But, so these are great. And these are, I believe, all the ones with the circles on them are the newer Gamblins. This one is the traditional. I don't know the exact difference between the logos, but I feel like these are the newer logos for Gamblin's oil paints. But that's it. So we got our burnt umber, perfect cerulean blue hue. And at some point, I'm going to need to organize these, but let me just count to make sure I got all of them. So that's 3, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Oh, I think there might be missing one. 19, 20, 21, 22, 20, oh no, 24. Okay, I just try to count in my head, but I can't count in my head right now. All right, so that's good. Let's see, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and then 24. So all 24 packs of Gamblin. Honestly, you can't go wrong with Gamblin. Gamblin is great because not only is it a very, very wonderful quality brand, but you can actually get it in most places. It's not like hard to find, hard to get. So, and that is a luxury, because if you're the type of artist that likes to stay consistent totally with one brand, it's really important probably to find one that you can actually get at your local store. Whereas I've seen some old brand paints, they haven't really moved into a lot of the local stores. And then here's the two final my last final surprise for today, as far as revealing my favorite supplies here. Let's see. Where is, here we go. So I first fell in love with Princeton brushes when I got this set. And I just, being up front, I gotta say that two of the I lost I lost the, maybe I lost them. I don't know where they are, but there was a set that came with these 3, and I think it came with like 2 more, maybe like a filbert or something. I don't know what happened to them. But out of these Princeton Catalyst brushes, the only one that I actually really still use is the round. So this was originally a pointed tip, just like these, a nice little pointed tip. But I'm so rough with my brushes that you know, any brush that lasts longer than like 1 or 2 painting sessions with, and keeps its tip is a brand that is very durable. So props to that. This brush I've used a few times and I've managed to keep its point, which is very good. So these are all the same brush, Princeton Catalyst. And I just recently discovered in the past like month or 3 months, past 3 months, 2 months, I don't remember exactly, but that they actually sold these separately, that they sold these individually. So I just had to go out and get 3 other different sizes. So I have a 2 or a 0, I guess. A 0, I don't know what this is, a 10 or an 8, and then a 4. Oh wait, let's see, 10, this one's a 10. This one is a 4. And this one is a 2 0. So 0 is I believe the tip and the roundness. But and this one's probably like a less than a 2. This one might be a 2 actually, a 0 and then a 2. But anyway, more importantly, the thing about these brushes that I find really interesting, so these are Princeton Catalyst brushes, and what I find most interesting is that they're synthetic. So they're not made of, I don't know like where they're sourced or how they're made or whatever, but these are called polytip fibers. And why I don't like these as much, or it's not that I don't like them as much, it's that I don't use them as often, because if I'm using them, I'm really using this for the synthetic durability of it. Yo, what's up, Dave? So I really like these for the synthetic durability of it, because I can be really rough with these. I could like, you know, scratch and rub and poke into the canvas, and it has managed to maintain this. All right, I've used this brush so many times, and I've like dipped it and dabbed it and jammed it and scrubbed it, and this has managed to keep this point and not totally flare out. I mean, it's flared out, but it's not totally unusable. And actually, like, you need brushes like these that have this like width. So, but here's the thing is I can't use these brushes because for some reason the synthetic fiber, well, this one's a little dry. This one's kind of dyed. I haven't been taking, I don't take as good of care of all of them, but, or like, you know, I think what happens is sometimes I'll paint and then like I'll forget the paint for a couple days, and then that's when you ruin your brushes. If you paint every day, you know, you could almost essentially hypothetically just, you know, do a little wipe down of every single one of your brushes. But if you don't do that and you're not painting every day, then that's when your brushes start to lose their structure, because the oil paint dries and it heavily damages the brushes. And, you know, if you don't do it properly, it can cause some issues. But the reason why I can't use these brushes or don't use them as much is because they're very dense, they're very durable. They almost feel like, you know, a synthetic, like a rubber or plastic. I don't know the exact ingredient of this, but the fact is it's dense and durable. So what's going to happen is it's not going to gently paint. It's going to dig into a surface. You know, it's going to pretty much dig into a surface and kind of like push away the paint. I don't know if you probably can't see that, but it's really just like pushing the paint away. So it's like creating a path, like parting the paint, right? So it's not very delicate. Therefore, it's not delicate. Therefore, I can't really use this because I'm just going to scrape away a bottom layer of paint. So I don't really use this brush as much. It has its purposes though. It's durable. And if I really want some really just clean, flat, just a nice clean, clean surface, I would use this. But I don't use these as often because I don't do too many like hard edge paintings or anything like that. So I keep them. Actually, this one I could probably stick in the old used. Look at all these used brushes. I think this is only like half. This is only half of the brushes. So some of these brushes I can actually use, but these are most of my retired brushes. Like not even half of my retired brushes, like a quarter. I go through lots of brushes. I think proper brush handling is a learning curve, or not proper brush handling. Well, proper brush handling, yeah, depending on how you want to paint, but also a proper brush cleaning, proper brush maintenance is a little bit of a learning curve. When I first started painting, I would always try to. My nose is itchy. When I first started painting, I would always try to get around using regular supplies, like just use regular soap or like whatever, or skip the mineral spirits, which mineral spirits are basically a thinning agent for your paint. So oil paint can be very thick, and if you want to get a different texture for it, then you need this. It like separates. It basically, as soon as you dip a paintbrush into this, it like instantly separates the particles in your oil paint and starts to become watery. So that's what mineral spirits and thinners are for. But where was I? Oh yeah, so learning proper brush care. Like I used to use all these other ingredients. I tried like vinegar to clean my brush because I was like, oh well, oil and vinegar don't mix, so maybe vinegar is a good way. I don't know exactly how to turn out, but I've retired lots of early brushes. And here's one other thing when you're buying brushes is I recommend do not buy brushes that say, well, this is for oil paint, watercolor, and acrylic. That is like, I don't want to say companies are lying, but I feel like as if they have not truly tested those brushes for the longevity of oil paint, because pretty much all those brushes, I don't know, I just have not had experience with brushes that say that they're for every single medium. I don't even know if that's, I mean, basically, I guess you could use a brush that's durable enough for oil and then use it in acrylic and water. Dave wants to know if I've ever brushed my teeth with these. No, I have not. No, I have not. I could if it was brand new. And if you want to give me $500, Dave, I'll do it. But if they're not brand new, then I won't worry about it. But anyways, so these brushes, eventually figured out how to really maintain and care for brushes. And it really helps to paint very often, because if you paint very often, you're constantly using the brushes. You can't have too many brushes. Like if you have too many brushes, it means that like, you know, you got to use them quite often. Otherwise, you're never going to. Otherwise, you're just not going to be able to clean them unless you do deep clean every time. But ultimately, really glad I found that these have that there is a individually sold brushes, Princeton Catalyst brushes of the round variety, the round tip, round pointed tip, because they are wonderful. So I'm probably not gonna, you know what, I could probably break in one of these today. I'm gonna break in let's break into 10. So let's pop this open. Boom. I love it when it's like closed. I've actually bought brushes that when you close the tip, there's like one little bristle that's like stuck to the side. So you have this one broken bristle, but the ones that I received today were absolutely perfect. So very good there, very good, very good. All right, so that's a lot of chitter chatter. Let's go ahead and do some painting, huh? Let's grab, I feel like this is a little too far. The door can open. The only thing that really matters is whether the door can open. I actually might move this over a little bit. Let's pop down I haven't locked it yet. So I'm gonna move this over just a little bit. I don't think that really made a difference, but oh yeah, a little bit. Here we go. I paint next to an open door because you pretty much have to paint near some open spaces if you want to do oil paints, because mineral spirits can really get to you. I get sometimes if I haven't painted for a while and I open up my mineral spirits, I get a headache. And let's see about what else I can do about this. Oh yeah, I believe last time I had this at an angle, right? So last time I had this at an angle so that it can actually be seen better. It wasn't about the door, it was about getting the visual, right? It wasn't about the door, it was the visual. If the door can open, I'm happy. Alright, good. Let's see if I can actually fit by. Now, let's move a little bit over further. Fit through easy, and I'm good. Okay. All right. Let's paint. And let's break in this brush as I had mentioned. So technically the way you want to break it in is like go under some warm water. Rinse it under some warm water. I don't feel like doing that. Let's just, I want to test it out. I'm just going to dip this in oil and see if oil helps to loosen up. No. No, I might need the water. No, actually, you know what? This worked. Just separate, you just gotta separate the brush. Just putting in some oil here on my side. My little tub of oil, I have a big old tub of oil. Supposedly the oil just basically helps you to, call it like seasoning the brush. Just get your brush nice and ready. And look, it's, you know, that perfect tip. I didn't expect it to stay, but I've already, you know, managed to lose it. But, you know, it still has a little tip. Don't tell Emmett. Ah, Michael Wilbur. Thinks I'm an artist. What? No way. So here we go. It's already lost its tip. I haven't even used it. And that's not a criticism, by the way. That's not a criticism of Princeton Catalyst. I don't expect it to keep its tip. Pretty much no brush ever keeps its like fine point. If you really need a fine point, don't order. I feel like they shouldn't even bother advertising large brushes as like fine point round tips. You should just expect them all to pretty much lose their tip as soon as you start using them. No matter how, like, and these, no matter like what brand I use from the best, and Princeton Catalyst is actually not a, you know, not a bad brand, but you know, they all lose their tips. These are Badger hair, Series 272 from Rosemary & Co. These are, you know, Rosemary & Co. is one of the like standards of high quality art supplies. Princeton is great too. Princeton has some great brushes, but this one's a shorter handle, so. So anyway, let's get started painting. By the way, here's one surprising fact of how I actually learned painting, how I like to study painting, and that is through Amazon Audible. So how does somebody learn how to paint through Amazon Audible? By the way, I didn't paint this whole thing, but how does, because this is an original painting somebody else gave to me as a gift, and I'm painting over it with stuff. But how does somebody learn how to paint through Audible? How can you do a visual medium that requires hands-on activity, and how do you actually learn to paint? Michael Wilbur says he prefers long handles. Yeah, long handles are great. I love long handles. So how do you learn to paint using Amazon Audible? That's the question. And this is where I think it really comes in handy, Amazon Audible, because it's not always about the hands-on tutorial, the hands-on lessons, the hands-on, you know, how to paint and everything. Those technical things are everywhere. Those technical skills are everywhere. But where Amazon Audible teaches you to paint is through the mindset. So with Audible, what I love to do is I love to listen to a lot of biographies of artists and historical like research into artists, and where I think that's really important is, you know, you can teach the technical, but if someone's not motivated, if someone doesn't have like a desire to achieve a certain aesthetic, if someone doesn't have a desire to like be creative, if someone doesn't have like the mindset of someone that just needs to paint, right? Like if you ever listen to Letters of Vincent van Gogh, or Vincent van Gogh as the British say it, or Vincent van Gogh as Americans say it, or Vincent van Gogh, I feel like that might be the right way, but anyway, if you don't have like, if you've ever read his letters, it's like you just, or listened to his letters on Audible, there's this sense of he just like drags you in with his letters. He like sucks you into his world. The Dear Theo is a great Audible listen. Dear Theo's Letters to His Brother by Vincent van Gogh. Oh, and we're just gonna call him Vincent from here on because my throat is so dry. Anyways, those letters just kind of like suck you into Vincent's world and really just get you into that like mindset of an artist. And I feel like, you know, I wish more artists actually had letters like that got you into the mindset. So Michael rejects my theory that listening to Audible can help you become a better artist, but I disagree, because, you know, you could teach and practice all you want, but if you don't have the mindset to, you know, if you don't have like an artist you admire and you haven't like listened to their story of how much they paint, you know, like if you know Picasso's lifestyle, waking up in the morning, meeting some people, having some lunch, taking a nap, and then going to paint in the evening. And, you know, I think in a modern world, it's just like to kind of know these things about different artists, you know, it kind of gives you this like connection. Honestly, can you build well, like Michael's talking about building a car through through Audible. I mean, here's the thing. If your passion is to build a car, I think no matter what, you're gonna listen to, you can't be passionate about building a car if you don't listen to a story about like Henry Ford, or even know a story of Henry Ford, or maybe, you know, be inspired by like Toyota or Honda, you know. And I don't think you can paint, you can just build a car, but are you truly going to, you know, feel inspired? Are you going to be motivated? Are you going to have that mindset, that grit that comes from learning the stories of other artists, or learning the stories of artists or entrepreneurs, or all these things that, you know, if you listen to their biographies, their autobiographies, biographies, this is a thing that this is like a spirit that you kind of capture by learning about artists. And you never know, you might get some good ideas. You might realize that you know, some artists, like Vincent van Gogh, for example, the most obvious example, because he didn't keep any secrets, everything was in his letters. You know, he copied so many people's paintings. Yeah, you have to hit it. You have to have passion, or it will never happen. Exactly. And you know, you can't. I will say you can get a little bit of passion from Audible audiobooks, because when you start to hear the stories of other artists, when you start to get into their mindset, their philosophies and approaches to art, you can learn so much and just get you so excited about all the possibilities of art. And that a teacher cannot spend an hour. I've only been going 40 minutes, but you know, that really a teacher cannot instill into you. They cannot instill, you know, you go to a teacher because you want them to tell you the technical stuff, right? You want them to tell you that, oh, you got to mix your green better, right? You go to a mentor for that. But what you do around that, outside of that, practice, and then, you know, you find other mentors. Find as many mentors as you can, whether they be in person or through your Audible memberships and listening to biographies and stuff. So here we go. That was fun. All right, let's get started here. So we're just gonna paint her, and we're gonna break in this brush here today. That's the goal, is just to break in this brush. All right, let's see where this brush is at. We're gonna go, let's go with a little bit of an ochre here. And we're just gonna brighten up this ochre. And let's just go right into here. So I'm gonna do less talking and more painting now. Old school Dave says he's gonna help me hit my quota, so thank you. Yeah, I mean, don't help me hit my quota, but with a click. Clicks don't matter. It's the actual, you know, helping you is what matters, right? You finding value out of a free subscription to Amazon Prime, one month free trial to Amazon Premium. If that helps you, that's what it's for. You don't need to click it unless you really, really want to. Unless you really want to improve your game in pretty much anything. Learn color theory, learn art history, learn sports history if you're into sports. I don't know. Whatever it is that possibly interests you it's all there. It's all for your taking. It's all on Amazon. It's all here for you. All the knowledge in the world is available to you. And it's up to you to do something with it. So I'm just looking to add some more shadow, or just create some more subtle shadows coming around the face here. This is a very, very thick amount of paint here. So let's go to the top of the forehead. Is this blocking? Is that logo blocking? Yes, it is. That logo is blocking. So let's go like this. We're going to come around right under the lip here. Bring in our highlight. And let's just get right into here. You can go even brighter here. Let's add a really nice highlight here. Nobody believes me that I feel that nobody agrees with my theory that you can actually learn to paint not just by doing, but by getting a membership to Amazon Audible, just so you can listen to all of their amazing library of art subjects. I mean, we're talking color theory, biography, all these incredible things that all contribute to not just consistency, but mindset. I believe mindset. Like if you have nothing else, mindset is so key. Even if it's like, here's another reason why I believe that is true, is the fact that if you're just starting out, painting, and your goal is to eventually sell some artwork, I think it's extra important because, you know, there's a mindset element to it. That keeps you going. We're gonna go right here. Let's go right under her neck here. See the world through the eyes. You know, here's another argument is people say, you know, it's important to see the world through the eyes of like somebody else. And I think biography is one of the best ways to do that. Listening to bios, art theory, listening to others. So like some great books, if you're really interested in the gallery game and like how to get into galleries and stuff, I'm not saying that this guarantees you access into a gallery, but what the gallerists think of, right? And there's this great book called What Are You Looking At? And See What You're Missing by Will Gompertz, I believe is the author's name. And now I'm starting to break up my sentences because I'm trying to paint at the same time. But Will Gompertz, and he was a former director, I believe, at Tate Modern, and he goes all in detail about the things that, you know, him as a curator, as a director of a fine art institution, what they think about on a regular basis. That can be very insightful. It's very handy, very insightful. I don't know if I'll ever be finished with this, by the way. This might be a very long painting. This painting might take a very long time. I can already feel what surfaces here are dry. Ooh, I got a nice breeze in my apartment, just came through. That feels so good. All right, let's work these hands a little bit. Come around. And I really like these brushes, Princeton Catalyst. So earlier I was saying about how like they're really rough and the flat brushes. The flat brushes, as you can see, they're dense and they tend to like carve away this like unnatural path, right? It's just a flat, straight line. So if you're going like a lot of straight edges and you're not painting something natural, that can be okay. But I rarely ever paint anything that requires this clean of an edge. And therefore, you know, having a little bit of the roughness is actually somewhat good for the round. It works on a round for my methods of painting, but not for every method of painting. You learn more art from me in an hour than Audible in a week. Wow, all right. Michael, she is an American. She made me self-conscious. Dave says, Dave, stop trying to make stuff up, dude. Trying to make things up. Dave really has a. Dave says he believes he's making me feel self-conscious. That's funny, Dave. Nice try. Nice try, Dave. All right, we're gonna go for a light brown here. I'm gonna grab a little bit of a brown, lighten this up, grab this white here. If anybody's delusional, it's Dave. Dave for thinking that he made me feel self-conscious. Not artists. Artists are allowed to be delusional. Let's see. All right. So what color is this? I think this is a shadow color that we've got going on. So pretty much the top of the thumb, which is going to come right around here. And the inside of the hand is going to come right in here. And then we're going to have top of our knuckle right in here. And let's go use the shadow to go inside our hand. This is going to create like a triangle of some sort. Triangle here. Let's go across the knuckle, come down, and this knuckle is going to have a little bit outie. What am I even saying, an outie? I call it an outie just because I'm just like making up words for how how things are getting built up here. All right, and you know, here's we go. It's just a building up of color right here. And here's the other thing. So what I was saying about Amazon Audible, like how you can learn to paint through Amazon with Amazon Audible. Again, it sounds ridiculous, but depending on, you know, you can hire teachers in real life. You can practice all you want. You can watch all the tutorials. But have you ever had somebody in your life, maybe it's a little brother, or I don't, you know, depending on everybody's age here, but, you know, have you ever had somebody in your life? For me, you know, it's my partner, my girlfriend. You know, you say a lot of things, and this isn't a criticism. I'm not trying to criticize. This is a joking point for us, I guess. But, you know, you might try to like tell them something, explain something to them in detail, but they don't listen to you until like one day somebody else with authority says it. Like, I don't know, like Dr. Phil or someone says something, says a fact, and you're like, I've been trying to tell you that. I've been trying to tell you that, you know, all whatever these things. I don't know. I don't have an example off the top of my head, but you know, have you ever had that? It's just like, or maybe growing up as a kid, right? There's a lot of adults who growing up, they probably didn't listen to their parents until, you know, one day somebody who was like a figure other than their parents said something, and then they went with it, right? Like say like a coach or something. Or better yet, if you've actually had this experience, you've tried to explain something to someone, they didn't really listen until one day they either heard it from somebody else. And you know what? I do think it's important for people to, you know, question things and to, you know, seek other people, seek examples themselves to find evidence of what is true or not. But that's the thing, when you're painting, there's so much information out there. There's so many artists with opinions and ideas. There's so much that it's so easy to get lost. And it's not until you hear about an idea in the bio until you hear like an idea from a biography of your favorite artist that you might be like, oh wow, okay, I get it now, right? So that's another reason why I highly recommend Amazon Audible, because sometimes you need to hear it from different sources, right? You can't hear everything and you can't just listen to Michael Wilbur say that art is only about practice, 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 and then just agree with him. You know, you have to question him, and you have to go find someone who maybe even has more authority than Michael. I know Michael's got the most authority in the entire planet on art, and he's the most recognized name and brand in all of the art world, but recognized authority in how to paint, I know that, but still, like, sometimes it's good to get another opinion, right? So that's where I really see the value of Amazon Audible coming in is, you know, when you don't have access to the director of the Tate Modern, and you don't have access to the life of Salvador Dali, Pablo Picasso, Edward Hopper, Artemisia Gentileschi, Edvard Munch. You know, if you don't have access to their stories, let someone tell it to you so that you can learn about them. If you don't have access to Michael Wilbur like I do, giving me step-by-step instructions of how he wants to paint, you know, you don't have the luxury. You have to go seek it elsewhere. And that's where the value of Amazon Audible comes in. It's like there's this book by Tim Ferriss called The Tribe of Mentors. Really great book. It's about finding a tribe of mentors. Or in fact, the entire book is a tribe of mentors. And if you could find your tribe of mentors, find your tribe of mentors, you can go places. Isn't it funny how with painting you get the shape of the head right, but if you lose the form of the head, if you start to lose too much of the form of the head, it looks totally different. All right. By the way, everybody on YouTube, can you see? Because their face is covered. Their face is covered, right? That's annoying that the Amazon message covers the entire top half here. I think top quarter. All right. Let's get the rest of this paint off. Let's see, we're gonna add some color right here. All right, let's clean this brush off. Done some breaking in of this brush. I like it. I like it a lot. It's a great length. It's got some good counterbalance weight. Let's go with it to a smaller brush now. Actually, we're gonna go to our 2-0 Princeton Catalyst. So you keep using the same brush here, and let's try to find some shadows. So you know what? Let's go. Now I need a scrubbier brush. So this brush isn't scrubby enough. It's got too fine of a point. I need my size up from there, which is my handy dandy. I believe this is a 2. 2-0. The point is 0, so I believe the point on this is a 2. I need to scrub your brush to find some shadows here. We're just gonna go into the shadows, right into the eyes here. You know what? We're gonna drop this down in front of the eye. Just drop her hair down right in front of her face, as it should be. That's the one thing that I'm constantly surprised by is gravity. Yes, that's right. Constantly surprised by is gravity when it comes to painting. Because one thing that you'll learn when you're starting to like look at stuff is nothing really ever defies the law of gravity. You know, gravity pulls things pretty much straight down, and nothing really ever defies it. You know, anytime you're looking at something, you know, I wanted to make this hair like kind of go to the side a little bit, but even though it has a curve to it, it still comes in front of the face here. No fabric defies gravity that I've seen. So let's find our shadows in here. We'll find some nice subtle shadows. And let's grab this. And when I say that, like, about gravity, you know, anytime I see fabric and I want it to, like, and I see it working one way, when I look at it, I'm like, oh, okay, this is kind of like at an angle. But gravity always pretty much works straight towards the earth, which is pretty much wherever you're standing is straight down, whatever image you're looking at. And anytime you're trying to paint fabric, or I'm trying to paint fabric, it never ceases to amaze me the fact that gravity always works downwards. I really just want to add some more shadow into her face for this. And let me see if anybody said anything. I wish YouTube, can you fix? YouTube has a clear view? Oh, okay, cool. YouTube, can you please make it so that as a streamer, I don't have to like adjust my setting every time I want to tap the screen every time I want to see a message, please? Can you do something about that? All right, and then here, let's go with a little bit of, I'm gonna add this like little brown shadow here, a little shadow there. Just figuring out the lengths of the hand. Let's go around the top here, add some shadow around the top right there. Let's do a subtle shadow. And by subtle shadow, I mean something in between my darkest shadow and the lightest. So we're going to come into here. Someone said something and it's already disappeared. I literally only had like 2 seconds to figure it out. 2 seconds. Really? YouTube? Come on now. 2 seconds? You only give me 2 seconds to read a message before it disappears? Alright, let's go with this dark shadow again. We're going to bring this hair down a little bit further. We're going to bring it down around the side of her chin here. Go. Get our nice deep shadows. Everybody see? Yes, everybody can see. Perfect. Some nice deep shadow in there. And let's go on this side. We can actually go a little bit darker. How's this? This neckline is probably going to be the biggest issue that I see here. This will be much more subtle. It's looking all right. Okay, getting closer every day. Getting closer every day. That's the great thing about oil paints. You know, maybe I should do something about these dinosaurs here. do something with these dinosaurs. Add some highlight coming down the side here from this dinosaur. Somebody's car alarm is going off and it's annoying. I think my cat just groaned. She's like, that's annoying. I'm trying to take a nap. She's like, argh. That's so annoying. Let's get some more reflected light on this section right here. How much detail should I put in these dinosaurs? I haven't really thought about it yet. It's a long alarm though, I'll give him that. Oh, here we go. This is another little character that probably needs... Well, if the light's coming from down there, is he past the line of the tree? So if the light's coming from this angle, I mean, there could be a tree right in here, in front of here, technically. Let's give him a little bit of a highlight here. Oh, that's too much. Oh well. Let's give these eggs some more of a natural highlight. Let's give it a couple little dabs of blue, like a purple blue, deep purple blue. Now, eggs all have these little. Why do eggs have freckles? Alexa, why do eggs have freckles?
From healthline.com. They develop when tiny blood vessels in the hen's ovaries or oviduct rupture during the egg-laying process.
Speaking of which, people, by the way, who here knew that eggs, or that they believe that the closest ancestors to dinosaurs are actually birds, and not like birds are the most evolved, or the closest relative to a dinosaur. Closest relative to what many dinosaurs look like. Now I think alligators came after traditional dinosaurs. Something. But basically what they figured out was that little raptors actually had like wing-like structures, and they weren't all scales. But originally, everybody thinks of dinosaurs as having scales and stuff, which is not true. It's a fun little fact there. What's this shape here? I don't know how I'm gonna paint these dinosaurs. I don't feel like using a reference to learn how to paint dinosaurs. Is that bad? Is that bad that maybe I'm just gonna let's just do something goofy here. Let's draw a T-Rex. Let's just draw a big ass T-Rex. Big old T-Rexy Rex. Let's get this, let's deaden the screen a little bit. Probably could use even black. I'm gonna make this black. We got a little T-Rex in the background. All right, and then we're gonna go. Let's tighten up these lines a little bit. We're gonna darken these lines right around here. Now this is a painting. This is what I call a painting, people. Let's grab the rest of our cerulean blue, grab our purple. Just gonna paint this nice and thick onto this dinosaur here. Let's dip some oil. Oh, you know what? This might be a good time to use this brush. So as I said, the thing about this brush is it really pushes paint around. And it, you know, spreads paint, which that can come in handy when you want to spread the paint. So let's just see this, you know, just spreads the paint. There we go. It's a little better. You know, you can cover areas in the same way other brushes can't really. Alright, this brush is a little too small for my knee. I need to grab an even bigger brush. Oh, so sad. My brush. I was just using this the other day and it was messed up. Here, let's test out some cleaning products right now. Right now is a good time for a cleaning product demo or a test. So, for cleaning products, I have a simple, the Masters brush cleaner. So this is Masters brush cleaner. Can everybody still see on YouTube? Because it says that my orientation is messed up. But anyway, I think the orientation is correct. All right, so we're gonna do the Masters brush cleaner right here. So this is a just a cleans paint stains, varnishes, wet or dry, oil paint, acrylics, acrylic, etc., etc. And I have this extra bottle of Gatorade, but this is not actual Gatorade. This is just a bottle of water that I use for this cleaning solution. I clean it out pretty rarely, but let's go ahead and use it. Let's go ahead and use our materials. So pretty much all I do, so you pop this open. I used to use a smaller container because you kind of gotta get into it. You can see it's already been quite used. Now let's take a look at this brush before and after. Let's see. Let's put this thing to the test here. So as you can see right now, this brush is very stiff. I'm trying to put some pressure on it and it's really not going. You can see me putting a lot of pressure. Not a lot of pressure, but it's stiff. It's done for. If this brush cleaner can't revive it, nothing can. But honestly, I don't think it can. We'll see. But here we go. You can tell all the bristles are stuck together. You know, I can try to pull it apart, but they're not really coming apart here. So let's just see how this brush cleaner works. All right. So basically, this is over here to the side. I don't have a way to be able to lift it. But you're just going to see that I'm going to be using water here, dipping in a little bit of water. Actually, you know what? I can actually hold it. I should be holding the cleaner rather than the water. So right here, dipping it in some water. It's even some dirty water. We're just going to dip it in here and just start moving our way around. Let's see. I don't expect it to be a full revival of this brush, but I think it'll be at least a little bit of a revival. And, you know, at this point, I have to be pretty rough with the brush. Just, you know, don't be shy to get it in all up in here. Work these bristles. Let's put this down. Gonna use another thing here, and we're just gonna get all up in our brushes here. Get up in our brushes. Work it into the fabric. The fabric of the oil paint here. Fabric of the brush. And you know what? It's gaining some flexibility back, but that's probably has to do with me like rubbing it really hard into the soap. I believe this is just a form of soap. I don't know what kind of soap, but it's a special soap. And here we go. We're gonna go for round 2. Oh, it's broken on the bottom. So it cracked on the bottom. That's not good. Anyways, I'm expecting that, you know, maybe 5 rounds will be enough to give this some sort of revival again to where it's not like totally stiff and dead. So let's check this out. Masters brush cleaner. They come in a couple size tubes. There's a much smaller one, but I use them. I had the smaller one. I used that for like going out and plein air painting, and I use this one for like, you know, just for the heavy duty work, which is pretty much all of my painting duties. So just trying to wipe the paint, the soap off onto this. Not trying, I am. But also at the same time working it into the bristles here. Dip it in some water. I don't think it matters too much if the water's already been used and dirty. But what does matter is that you're not overly gentle. You know, it's already a dead brush anyway, so you might as well, you know, give it some good old wrist grease or elbow grease. All right, dip it in some more water and see how it's turning out. Dip this in water. And is there a revival? Let's see how good this is. Ooh, it's starting to feel more and more flexible. All right, so it has definitely got a little bit of its flexibility back, a little bit of its ability to separate. Now there's still like just, I guess we could work it in, right? Let's work the soap into the bristles. Let's not be shy. We are wearing gloves after all, right? That's what we have gloves for. Not to be shy with paint. We wear gloves because no matter, there's like this big chunk right here that I don't think, oh, here we go. I used to actually go in between these with a needle and try to do it. Try to like get them, but not anymore. Just buy a new brush. But is it reviving? Maybe a little bit. Let me actually dip this in some of our mineral spirit here. Use our mineral spirit. All right, so a little bit of mineral spirit, and you know what? It's gotten its flexibility back. And maybe let's do it like 1 or 2 more times and see how that revives our brush. Because it's actually a pretty expensive brush. It would be nice if I could revive it. And there are other ways. You know, some people say they leave it soaking in oil. Some people say they like leave the tip soaking in something else. But let's just keep this going. Let's just. It's a different sound now, which is good, right? We can all judge things by sounds. Let's see. And this is like, I guess, you know, if you really add up the time that it was required to actually take great care of this and clean it versus the amount of time that I'm spending trying to do this, you know, sometimes it's better just to clean it. But you know what? When you paint a lot, like sometimes things get in the way and you just forget, or you don't realize how much paint was still caked on it. So I swear I was just using this like a couple of days ago. You can see at least all you can see the pigment actually coming off onto the have to dip it in some water again. You can actually see the pigment coming off of our brush here. Dipping in some more water. Actually, some of this pigment coming off might just be from the jar of water. But let's try to get in here. Let's get rough with this brush. Fortunately, this is actually I think this is either a hog hair. I think it's either a hog hair or synthetic, which means that already in general it's a pretty rough brush. So you know, jamming it in won't necessarily ruin the brush too badly beyond what's already ruined. But let's do this again. Let's get up into the fibers here. Up into the fibers. I don't know. I'll try one. If it, I think it'll be okay after this. But If it's not good after this, I'm not gonna keep trying to clean this brush. You know, it's not like one of those demos where the guy like sharpens his knife for 2 seconds and suddenly it's revived. I wish that was the case, but you know, like the guy sharpens a dull knife and he's only been he does it like for 2 seconds and suddenly he can cut through anything. It'd be nice, right? If someone invented a soap like that, that'd be cool. That'd be a great demo. That'd be an amazing demo. I would love to sit out on a street and promote a product like that. Artists around the world would instantly, that would sell like hotcakes. You know, imagine if I just did this one time and suddenly it was revived. That would be pretty amazing, but it's not the case. If only it was that easy to revive a brush. And you know what, my guess is probably because there's not enough market for brushes, right? Because knives can get really expensive, you know, hundreds, thousands of dollars a knife. And I'm sure brushes can get up there too, but I think in general, like, you know, people would rather just replace a brush. Let's dip it in a little bit more water. I can still see some like soap and pigment coming off, so that's when I know, like, you know, it's not done yet. I'm doing my best to like push away from me. You know, like if it flings any debris, it's gonna go away from me. I won't always fling it toward the painting, but in this case I will, because this painting is a fun painting. They're all fun. All right, it's recovered a little bit, you know. Earlier we couldn't even push or separate the brushes, but now it's got some decent separation in it. They're a little stiff, but you know that's kind of expected. I don't know my words. All right, let's go give this a nice squeeze with another fresh rag here. Another nice squeeze here. Just get all that water out. And let's dip it in some oil, rub it in our oil just to re-season it. I don't know if that's an actual thing, like re-seasoning, as in, you know, getting oil all oiled up again. Dip it in some mineral spirits, swirl it around in mineral spirits. So mineral spirits and oil, right? Oil is the medium. For those of you that don't know, right? Oil is the medium. That's what the pigments are stored in. And the reason why they do that is because for whatever reason, oil interacts with pigment, and I believe is it oxidation? There's some fancy word for how oil works with the air and dries to create oil paint. I think it's oxidation. Oil oxidizes or something. Or something. Alexa, what is the term for the oil paint drying process?
From wisejeep.com. Oil paint dries by oxidation.
Yes. Alexa off. Alexa off. So oxidation as opposed to the evaporation of water, right? That's how oil paint dries. And that's how it creates a nice hard surface and leaves all the pigment all oxidized together. That's how oil paint is made. If you could deoxidize the oil paint on a brush, that would be fantastic. Ooh, that would be a good invention, like a tub. Like the way that you would deoxidize rust, right? The same process, you could probably deoxidize. I don't know if it's that easy, but here we go. Okay. So I dipped it in oil just to reacquaint our brush with oil. Let's close this up. Close up our... I think it worked, honestly. I think it did a pretty decent job. It took a little while. That was about 5-10 minutes. But this is a worthwhile brush. I really like this brush. Got a lot of good use out of it. And I hope to continue to get a lot of good use out of it. All Alright, so let's see. I don't have a before after photo to show, but carcinogenic soap is what Dave says. Alright, so let's see. Yeah, we're doing pretty good. This is actually pretty good compared to what it was before. Not all the bristles are separated, but actually, you know, the major chunks and the major areas that were kind of together are separated. You know, we could push this just a little bit further because these are hog hair bristles. I mean, they're still kind of stiff. They don't have the same type of give that they used to, because I think, you know, it's probably like 2 or 3 bristles for every one that there was. But we can go one extra step here. Uh-oh. Yeah, got a hole in my glove. I'm gonna switch this glove out real quick. So I'm gonna switch out my gloves. I got a hole in it. I poked something. Poked something sharp. Yeah, these gloves aren't really heavy duty. They just do a good job of keeping a little bit of paint off of you. So I get these in mass. I get these from Amazon too. These are the Strong and Flex. I'll actually show the box in a second. You don't have to wear gloves for oil paint, but you know, I like to be able to like just take my gloves off and pet my cat if I want to, you know? Or like if I have to run to the kitchen to grab a snack, I can just like quickly wash my hands. I don't have to like do a deep rinse. If I want to, you know, paint outdoors and be ready to shake hands with the mayor that comes by and looks at my painting, you know, I get to. That hasn't actually happened, but I have had some journalists stop by because I was painting at an event. And you know, it's nice to be able to shake hands. Just pop your gloves right off and get right into it. So one more step. This is a step so I actually use this. It's a very rough, like brass. I think it's brass brush. And also has this other end that I don't really use, but you know, I guess I could if I wanted to. And it's gonna ruin the brush, but that's like pretty much unavoidable. It's already ruined anyway. But let's just go like this. Let's just take this bristle and, you know, my idea is that this just really gets right into the grit, it helps to scrape off some of the paint. So after you've already scraped away, these metal, I think it's brass. And again, this is not a delicate process, but fortunately this brush is made of hog hair, which is very rough in general. Let's go put it in some oil here. And let's go. So you'd like to think that when you're oil painting, you spend all your time oil painting, but that's not always the case. Sometimes you gotta clean, sometimes you gotta do so. Oh, look at this. It has pretty much been restored. Pretty much. Now this, I will say, you know, in all honesty, if I'm really super analyzing this process, right? So I have seen brushes where it's actually caked in paint. Like actually there's an entire layer of paint around the outside. This brush was not bad. So, you know, but there was like little bits of paint caked on the inside between the bristles. And it was just enough that like, you know, it kind of almost ruined the brush. I could have thrown it away. And I will say that, you know, it's not totally restored. There's still some of these like small bristles that are stuck together. So I wouldn't necessarily use this brush for like, you know, detail work or anything, because you're definitely going to get the thick texture of this the thick nature of some of these bristles working against you if you need some very fine detail work. But I would definitely still use this to cover large areas of paint. So there we go. There we have it. It actually works. So we did the Masters brush cleaner, which took about four good deep scrubs, and then we took our brush cleaner, brush scraper, and did a little bit of that. We're pretty much back to normal, and it wasn't too bad originally to start with, but it was pretty bad. You could see. So now some of the bristles are separated, and good old Masters brush cleaner. Love it. One day, you know, see, look, it's actually doing a pretty decent job of spreading our paint. And that's all we want it to do, is just to spread paint. I'm not using this for ultra fine detail or anything. I just need it to be enough that, you know, it's not too stiff. This is Barney. Barney's a purple dinosaur. This is Barney, just realized. Barney the purple dinosaur. Why did I paint him purple? I didn't even think about it. I just decided to paint him purple. Must be whatever happened to Barney. He just disappeared. Barney spread so much love. Good old Barney. Barney, then the Teletubbies. I wonder what the audition was like to be a Teletubby. Like, you probably just had to have mascot experience, right? I wonder if they even knew that they were going to be what was called a Teletubby. Or if their agent just sent them on an audition and they were like, hey, you know, this is your audition. You just gotta dance in a mascot costume. Very nice. This brush is doing a pretty good job. It's a brush. It is a brush, and it's working just fine. All right, and then let's go. Let's give it some pink teeth. Go into here. I clean off this brush again. I'm going to grab a nice chunk of white. Just going to go around the eyes here. Let's add some white highlights into this. There we go. I love it. I love it. Why do I love this painting so much? Because I made it. It is mine. So in between, like, painting things that require a lot of detail and attention, and let's like brush discipline, in between all those paintings, I really love to do stuff, just goofy things like this. I mix in serious paintings that require a lot of thought and detail work with some loose, goofy paintings like this. And let's just hope that this brush lasts until next time. Okay. And there we have it. Okay, so yeah, these brushes are doing great. So really glad. By the way, I don't know if this would actually work. So these are hog hair bristles. I don't know if this would actually work if it was like, if it was a more delicate bristle like badger hair, but it seems to be okay. We seem to be okay here. This might even be synthetic. I think Series 272 might be, no, this is ivory. This is the ivory brand. So I don't know if it's hog hair or if it's probably hog hair. Let's just get this nice and deep clean. Since we just deep cleaned it, we might as well deep clean it some more. All right, what's our next brush here? All right, let's try to do some stuff around her eyes now. We've let loose. We've had a little fun, gotten goofy. But let's go ahead and just do some of the lip action here. We're gonna go with some eye action. Let's give some curve around the eye here. And for this, I need my maul stick. My maul stick, my ball stick. Maul stick, ball stick, whatever you want to call it. So this is just a stick with a ball at the end. And let's just go around her eyes here. So her eyes are just going to come around like this. Ever since I started painting, I've definitely gotten a new appreciation for eye and makeup artists, like anybody who does like eyelashes or anything like that. Because even like the tiniest millimeter of a change can make somebody's eyes look totally different. Just the tiniest millimeter of a change is going to give you like a totally different look. And then let's bring in the shadow a little bit more. I want to capture some of the eyebrow here. I'll probably have to rework that eyebrow, but it's a good start. Good start. And this one's going to come around. way too close to her eye. Yeah, we can modify that. Let's go ahead and modify it. Clean off our brush here. Yeah, I need her, this part of her eye to be a little bit less. Let's put it into some shadow here. The other thing is she doesn't have her eyelid because her eyelash is so distinct. Out. How do I manage this? Let's see. No, I want shadow. I want shadow. Yeah, I want a little bit of shadow. Let's go for a little bit of shadow. Just go back into her eye, right here. We're gonna do this pretty much the same thing on the other side. Really trying to capture this eye details here around this area. And here we go. Going. It still says the orientation is locked and I have to rotate my device on YouTube. I don't know why. Does the ball leave divots, imprints? It probably will, but I don't have it on the canvas. I actually have it I actually have it on the frame, just FYI. So just for your information, I actually have it on the frame. Good question, but I actually have the ball thing on a frame, not the actual canvas. That helps to explain anything. But I think, you know, traditionally the maul stick is not necessarily something to be afraid of having on your canvas. But trying to find our nice subtle gradations of her face here, really trying to find, you know, the shape, really capture the shape of her face. I'm still, this will take a while. This will be a while. We gotta get into here, get this nice. And we gotta work on our hands. So what are we gonna do with our hands? We're gonna go with a gray. Let's find a nice gray. Let's just see how we can start to work some of these colors in here. And this is where the value of oil paints really also shines too. And I'm sure, like, what do you call it? I'm sure that acrylic has this effect too, but if you're using like transparent oil paints, you can really give this effect of like there being like a fabric, some sort of fabric, by using like overlaying like a transparent layer of some sort. It really gives you this illusion of the fabric here. Did the Mona Lisa not have eyebrows? I feel like Mona Lisa didn't have eyebrows. Does anyone ever wonder about that? Why did Leonardo da Vinci not paint eyebrows on Mona Lisa? Was that not a thing back then? Okay. So we're going to come around. Let's do this one first, actually. And then we're going to go on this other side here. Same eyebrows. Let's get this color back here. The left one looks so much better than the right one. This dinosaur's cracking me up. My goodness. Who else likes a dinosaur? What's up, Pookie? Hey, baby girl. Having a good nap? What's up, Scout? Why are you down there? She's up there, huh? Hiding from the heat, huh? Oh, he's being shy, dude? What's going on? Yeah. Nice big yawn. Talking to my cats. Who else do I have to talk to? I don't have anybody except my cats right now. And all of you wonderful, wonderful people viewing this live stream. So, if you're watching from Amazon, just remember that this is a live stream. Anything you say will be broadcast to the entire universe. Yes, that's right, the entire universe. All right, you know what? We got to tighten up this eyebrow. I don't know what's wrong. I can't really figure it out. But something about this eyebrow is just not working out for me. And let's figure it out. Let's get this done now. So it needs to be a little bit sharper. I think our overall design needs to be a bit sharper here. And then this kind of has to like fade and disappear into the space here. So let's go like this. This kind of becomes a part of our painting here. It's ever so subtle little change here. Just a little subtle change of the eyebrows, add a little bit more shadow back into here. Oh. Now it's got to be a lighter shadow than that. Lighter than the eyebrows. Lighter than the eyebrows. That's all we're going for right now. All right. It's a little closer. A little bit better. And here we go, we're gonna come around. We're just gonna add a shadow to the top of the top here. Let's go big with these eyelashes here. Let's go big with the eyelashes. Big with the eyelashes. Here we go. Big with those eyelashes. All right, looking better. This side looks much bigger than the other one. Honestly, this eyelash might even go deeper. I'm gonna bring this eyelash down even more here. That eyelash goes deep. All right. So I think we've got our basic foundation of what this painting's pretty much going to end up looking like now. You know, we're still in what I call the ugly phase. Not that it's ugly, it's just called an ugly phase because 9 times out of 10, a painting will start out not looking very much like the ideal end result, and you start off with what's called an ugly phase. And if you're just being honest, it's just like, yeah, it's an ugly phase. It's my ugly phase. It's the phase where the painting doesn't quite look exactly the way you want it, and it still needs a lot of work, and therefore it is an ugly phase. And now let's go bring, let's see, this nose needs to be heavily modified. This nose has some issues with it because of this little, I mean, the nose kind of disappears. It's not bad. It doesn't have too bad of issues. It's just, doesn't have too bad of issues. I'm being overly critical here. But there really needs to be a separation between a highlight at the tip here. right there. A little nostril. I'm really trying to navigate this like nostril. This nostril's really annoying. Let's figure this out. Let's do the nostril here. Let's get this nostril. This nostril on the side here. So backstory behind this painting, I was looking at this post from a collector today, and like, we want to know why. We want to be involved in your story. And I had to tell the story between. It's just, you know, why am I painting this? Because I got this massive, beautiful frame, the surface from which to paint on from a collector / friend. And they're like, yo, dude, it would be awesome if you painted dinosaurs. I didn't say it like that, but, you know, I'm kind of making up the way they sounded. They're like, hey, you know, this would be awesome if you painted dinosaurs on it. And they weren't like, hey, dude, you have to paint dinosaurs on this if we give it to you. But I thought it was a funny, good idea. So so that's what we're doing. We're painting some dinosaurs on this little masterpiece here. And you know what's awesome? The background is already painted. I don't have to do anything to the background. It's already there. It's already there and ready. It is already there and ready for the for whatever scene you can implement. So let's go right here. Clean this off. Just kind of find this nostril here. It's going to be the most challenging part, is this nostril. Let me study this nostril here. Alright, I see where I need to go. This is what needs to happen. This is what needs to happen. It needs to come down at an angle. And then it needs a dip. Let's go take another brush here. And let's go onto the actual nostril itself and start to carve away at this piece right here. And there we have it. So from here we can get a couple little highlights coming down, separating our space. Make that more subtle. Starting to use a smaller and smaller brush as we go on, as y'all can see. Maybe you can't see because I'm so far away, but it's a little known fact that Mona had, I don't know what that is. I'm not going to try to pronounce it. But let's go into the lips right now. Let's get into a little bit of shadow in the lip here. Just gonna carve in a nice little shadow. Let's study this a little bit before I try to get all up in this. Nope, this brush is going to be too... For the detail that I want, you can see that this brush, it's a fine quality brush. Rosemary Co. pointed round, but as I said, no matter what brushes I get, it inevitably loses its point. But fortunately, just the other day, I got this wonderful little pointed brush. And this would be absolutely perfect. It's still fairly new. This would be perfect for what I'm trying to do. I can't possibly mess up with this. There's no way I can mess up doing this, right? Of course I can, but... Where do I want to go with that? So come down here. Come around. Come there. Now we're going to add a little bit more shadow. Let's add a little bit more shadow right where this crease is. Just a bit denser than the rest. And then this other shadow back here. Let's see how we can carve out this hand a little bit. I want to shape out this hand. Why is there green on this paintbrush? I'm looking at a paintbrush I had from the other day and it's got green on it, which means it's not going to last. So I have this great, so this is what happens is like sometimes like I leave just these little tips of paint, and that's really bad. Even a little bit of paint on your brush can ruin it if you don't clean it right. And sometimes you can't tell if it's just like pigment stains or whether it's like actual, inevitably it's going to get a stain of paint, but this is really, I just got this brush. This is also one of my favorite brushes too. These are some of my favorite brushes as well. So what can I do about the hand and shaping the hand? Let's go shape the hand. I'm gonna grab our gray, mix a little bit of the black into our gray here. The only time I enjoy watching paint dry is when I'm painting. Honestly, it's actually pretty exciting because when every layer that dries means you get to put on another layer. And here we go. So let's go ahead and modify these hands a little bit. So we're going to carve out the shape here. Give it a more delicate finger. So we're going to give it a more delicate, just do whatever we have to do to manipulate the painting to just give it a delicateness. There you go. That thumb looks a little bit more delicate, right? Still along the top edge, there's some issue, but let's go ahead and try to find. And I think the other things are actually pretty delicate looking. Not delicate, I don't want to say delicate, but just like, well, I do want to say delicate because that's what I've been saying, but just to give it like an extra round, feminine quality to it. These hands are actually pretty big, I think, comparatively to the face. All right, well, you know what? Let's, right now is a good time to take a break. I've been looking at this. Usually, here's the thing, is like when you paint, you really kind of have to force yourself to take breaks, because if you look at something for far too long, it just kind of starts to blend together. It all just kind of becomes one thing. And then one great about modern art, being a modern artist, you get to take photos perfectly proportioned. Wire brush time, scrape that sucker. One thing is you get to take photos, and then I literally dream about my paintings. I don't paint what I dream most of the time. I think I did that like once or twice, that I painted what I actually kind of dreamt about. But I do dream about my paintings. Like sometimes I'll go to sleep with my paintings. Something like a person from my painting will talk to me. I know this sounds crazy, because it is, but whatever. I don't care. It happens. And then it's like in those cases, I'll know exactly, I'll kind of just have this idea of what I need to do on the painting, or whether it's done, or, what details. Like, it is so weird, but sometimes my dreams actually tell me what I need to do. Because it'll be a thing that's bugging me, right? Like the shape of a building, or something that's missing from the painting. And then, it's not that a person will tell me, it's just like I have a dream that someone complains about it. And then, depending on how I feel, like if it was to be Michael Wilbur or Dave complaining, but I don't actually dream about Dave or Michael Wilbur. But like, let's just say hypothetically in my dream, that would probably be like a joke. And I'd be like, oh, that doesn't need to be changed. I should keep that in there. But if it's like, a client that collects my artwork or something, then I'll be like, oh, that's something that I take it as a sign that I need to modify a specific thing. But anyway, that's enough about my dreams and hopes and ambitions and goals and all that. Hope all of you got something out of this. And with that, let's do a wrap up with just some thoughts about, I'm excited to get all these things. Amazon has really done a great job of helping me push my art to the next level, because not only do they have some amazing resources on Amazon Audible, but of course you can buy books from Amazon all day, right? It started as a bookstore, the biggest bookstore online. But aside from technical stuff, going to classes, going to mentorships, going to training, all those things, I think one of the most valuable things that you can do is go on Amazon Audible, try to look for get a membership. I have an Amazon Audible membership, but there's a way to if you don't have one already, you can look for an Amazon free trial membership, which I think is great. And beyond the technical, beyond the practice, beyond the mechanical stuff that you could potentially train a machine to do, what really makes artists human, or humans artists, is this ability to like get into a mindset of how you want to be as an artist. And you can do a lot of those things through Amazon Audible by listening to biographies. Hundreds. I don't think there's thousands of biographies of great artists, but hundreds. I think there's only maybe a few hundred really, really great artists throughout time that like people write lots and lots of biographies about. And because of that, it's probably, there could be thousands. I don't know. There's probably thousands. But the greatest thing about Amazon Audible audiobooks is that it really, if you get biographies, you've got autobiographies, biographies, letters, essays, interviews sometimes. I have this great book, Bacon in Your Blood, about Francis Bacon, where this journalist followed Francis Bacon around for like a bunch of years, and it helps you to get into a mindset of being an artist. Sometimes it even helps to answer questions like, have you ever thought about what you're going to say if someone asks you about, how you feel about the art, and what's the difference between art and photography? Hey, here's a great answer from Francis Bacon. And if you're actually answering this, you don't actually have to quote Francis Bacon, but I highly recommend quoting your sources. Is a photograph is something that you look at, it wows you, and you keep it and you hang it up there, and it means something, and it's powerful. I'm actually adding to his words. But a painting is something that you hang it in a room, you keep it there, and years after years after years you look at it, and you're like, years down the road you'll notice something different. That's the difference between photography and painting. That's from Francis Bacon, by the way. I added words to it. But that's just great having answers to stuff like that, right? To have like, of course, we all want to come up with our own things and our own quotes. I'm sure he took that from somebody too. But listen to biographies, artist biographies. How art history is great. Gets you in a mindset of art and like where we are today, right? Like, what is the state of art today? What do you actually need to create? Do you have to paint total realism, or can you paint goofy purple dinosaurs that remind you of your childhood Barney, right? All these things. There's a lot of great things to hear from, and how other people see art. So Will Gompertz is a great book I listen to. He has 2 books, See What You're Missing and What Are You Looking At? The letters by Vincent van Gogh are very good. Dear Theo, it's great to hear them read. Any biography from your favorite artist, if you have one, favorite art movement, all those things are incredibly helpful to listen to on Amazon Audible. That when you have the time, when you have that extra spare time, to just like listen to them, hear the life stories of different artists. I think it's very helpful to get you into the right state of mind. Whereas, you can listen to music. Music helps you, like, it depends on the type of art you're making, right? Of course, listen to music, listen to whatever. But I think if you're trying to become obsessed, if you're obsessed with art, if you're obsessed with painting, sculpture, any of those things, that obsession can be fueled more through Amazon Audible and help take your game to the next level. But anyway, with that said, I am wrapping up for today. Princeton Catalyst, and thanks Amazon x Jerry's Artorama for putting together a curated paint supply list, putting together this curated set of paints, which I will be gladly using over the next, these will probably last me more than a year, especially in combination with all the other paints I have. But I definitely realize the bigger I go, every inch that you add to a painting just adds so much more. Like I used to, I used to paint this and think I was using a lot of paint, right? But you just realize quickly that the more you paint, like the bigger you go, you're just gonna use that much more paint, and it just helps to have a wide variety of paints handy. Some of my earlier paintings, my earlier portraits, you could tell the difference, right? Or earlier portrait, it's kind of messy. Earlier portraits, but it's just one of those things. You need paint to paint, and as you go bigger, you need lots of paint. Just see size differences. You need lots of paint, people. You need lots of paint. All right, that's our cue. Take care, everyone. Thanks for being around. Take care, Dave.